using tempos when we're lifting or doing bodyweight exercises is something that you either tend to love or to hate, okay? But regardless, there's a big benefit to using them, okay? So today we're just going to have a chat about the benefits of tempos, but we're going to start off with just how you would read a tempo to make sure you fully understand what the tempo says or what we're asking you to do, okay? So when you see a tempo, you're going to see 4 numbers or letters, okay? So you might have a 3, a 0, an X, and a 1, for example, okay? Obviously that's going to vary quite a lot, but if you understand what each part of the formula means, then it doesn't matter what the numbers are, you'll be able to understand it and you'll be able to perform it, okay? So the first number is always the negative phase, okay? So on a squat, that would be lowering yourself down. On a deadlift, that would be dropping the bar or taking the bar down to the floor. On a pull-up, that would be lowering yourself down into a dead hang, okay? The second number is always a pause, but depending on the movement would depend on where you pause it, okay? So that pause, it's always a pause under tension, okay? So on a squat, you'd be pausing at the bottom. On a pull-up, you'd be pausing with your chin over the bar, okay? So that might vary movement to movement, but as long as you remember that one as being the pause when you're under tension, then it should make it a little bit clearer. The third number is the speed of the concentric contraction, okay? So on a squat, that will be the speed that you stand up with. On a pull-up, it will be the speed that you pull up with, okay? On a deadlift, it will be the speed that you pull the bar off the floor. Well, that one's relatively straightforward. And then the final number, that's your pause when you're not under tension. Okay? On a squat, it'll be your pause when you stood up. On a deadlift, it might be your pause on the floor, or on a pull-up, it might be your pause in a dead hang. Okay, so that's what the tempo looks like. If we're going to give a few examples there, okay, so like we said, 3-0-X1 means 3 seconds on the way down, no pause at the bottom, as fast as you can on the way up, and then 1 second pause at the top. Okay, if we're to use another example, let's say we're going to use a 3-2-X1, then that would be a 3 second negative, a 2 second pause in the bottom, stand up as fast as you can, and then a 1 second pause at the top. Okay, and then a final example might be 3-0-3-0, so that's going to be a 3 second negative, no pause at the bottom, 3 seconds on the way up, and then no pause at the top. So hopefully that makes it a little bit clearer as to what we're asking you to do when you see those tempos in your training. So what are the benefits of tempos? Well, obviously, when it comes to building strength, one of the big benefits of tempos is the increased time under tension. Okay, so time under tension just refers to essentially how much strain you put in through your muscle over the course of a set. Okay, so let's just say you were to do 10 squats at a normal kind of speed, okay, not thinking about a tempo, then that set of squats, it might take you, say, 2 seconds a rep, all right, so that time under tension might be about 20 seconds, versus if you're doing a set of 10 tempo squats, simply just with, say, a 3 second negative, then straight away that time under tension is increased from 20 seconds to 30 seconds, okay? If not a little bit longer by the time you've added in that pause at the top. And obviously then that standing up phase in the middle, okay? So increasing that time under tension, all right, generally speaking, that leads to greater gains in strength because you put in the muscle under more strain. And that increased strain, that's what triggers the adaptation to your training. What's going to help cause what we call morphological changes in your muscle, okay? Which is basically changes in the muscle structure itself. So that can be an increase in the number of muscle fibers, an increase in the thickness of muscle fibers, which are obviously a key part of developing strength and hypertrophy. Another benefit to your tempos is just to increase positional awareness, okay? So the slower speed, and again, we kind of choose different tempos depending on what we're trying to focus on and at different points of the movement, but the slower speeds generally make you much more aware of what your body's doing. Okay, again, if you're using a squat as an example, if you're just cycling through a squat as fast as you can, okay, then it's quite easy for it to become a case of just squat down and stand straight back up again. Okay, whereas if we use a slow tempo, it's going to help you focus on, say, where your weight might be on your foot. It's going to help you focus on the position of your chest. It might help you focus on the position of your knees. Okay, so there's lots of things that we can use the tempos to manipulate to give you that positional awareness, which is going to improve your technique, which is then going to carry over obviously into squatting at heavy loads. It's going to be safer, you're going to be more efficient, but also into other movements like, say, your cleans, where you want that transfer over, because obviously on a clean, when you're moving so fast, you've not got time to think about that. So we want that good positioning to feel supernatural, okay? kind of alongside that, you're also going to get stronger in those positions. Okay, so for this example, if we're talking about, say, a front squat with a slow tempo, pause at the bottom, okay, it's going to help you get stronger in terms of keeping your elbows up, keeping your chest up, stopping yourself collapsing. Okay, which again, obviously is a key position in not only a lot of CrossFit movements, but also in Olympic weightlifting. So being stronger there because of that tempo, that awareness that it gives you, but also the increased time under tension in that position is going to carry over really nicely into other aspects of what you need to be doing. Okay, and then finally, it's really going to expose any weaknesses or imbalances that you've got. Okay, because there's that extra strain on your muscle, obviously there's that increase in fatigue over the course of your set. That makes tempos, a relatively safe way to expose that, because you've got the slower tempo, you're generally going to have to use a lighter weight. Okay, when you watch that back, okay, it's going to make it a lot clearer as to where your weakness in specific lifts might be coming from. Okay, so again, in a front squat, for example, if you find that you can do perfect tempos with really good form, you don't collapse through your chest or your core or your elbows whatsoever, then obviously that's going to make it really clear that that weakness is perhaps in your legs. Or if when you're standing up from, say, a slow tempo back squat, you find that you can really see your hips shifting over to one side, then that might indicate that you've got an imbalance in one leg in terms of strength. Okay, so obviously, again, that's something which when you're working at normal speed, you don't necessarily feel or isn't necessarily as exposed until you get to heavier weights. Okay, so it makes them a really useful exercise for exposing those imbalances, being able to work on those imbalances, and then also improving your overall strength and building muscle hypertrophy.